Hey, good afternoon. It's Wednesday, February 7th. It's misty. I'm back for a surprise video. Let's call this Flosstube 3.5 Snow Day Edition. I'm here because the university canceled classes today. I get a bonus day off and you get a bonus video. So my students are extremely happy. Their exam was rescheduled for next week. I'm pretty happy that I get a little bit more time before I have to grade exams, so there's a lot of rejoicing happening here today. Thanks. In my last video, a number of you gave me ideas for what I can do in place of a lap stand or lap stands I could look into. Thank you so much for taking time to give me your input. I'll do some research and see what I think will work out for me. This morning I was watching Flosstube while I was eating breakfast. I was watching Yvonne, Night Owl Stitcher, and she gave me a shout out. So thank you so much, Yvonne. That was such a delight to be mentioned in your video while I was eating breakfast. I was so surprised, so thank you. Yvonne was doing a little tutorial and showing some of her needle cases that she made out of Altoid tins. One of them had a goat on it, which was super cute. And I don't know if you know this, but I grew up on a goat farm. So goats have a special place in my heart. My mom still has her goat farm, so whenever I go home, I help with the goat chores, feeding, watering, milking, bottle feeding the babies. She should be having some babies in about a month, but I won't get to go back and see them until the summer. So I just have to see them in pictures. They are way cuter in person. Okay, so I've got one thing I finished a while ago, but I hadn't fully finished it into a finished item I could display. And that is a punch needle project. I have had punch needle supplies for a number of years and even had something kitted up. And I hadn't done anything with it. I always go through my craft supplies, decide what I'm going to keep and what I'm going to purge. So in the summer I was going through them and thinking that I should really use my punch needle or, maybe pass it along to someone else if I'm not going to use it. And then I started looking for designs, even though I already had something kitted up. I started looking for other designs and boy, there's a lot of beautiful designs out now. I mean, I probably bought my stuff like 5 or 6 years ago and there's just so much more, in only 5 or 6 years than there was back then. So what I came across that just made me know I needed to try this was on Etsy. I found Michelle Palmer's punch needle designs, and she's an artist and her designs are beautiful. Her use of color is incredible. The blending of the colors, it's just amazing. So when I saw her work, I was like, okay, you need to try this ASAP. So this summer, I got my punch needle, I got a hoop, and I bought one of her patterns and I gave it a try. I watched a couple of YouTube videos that are out there that were very helpful, and I found it extremely easy to get started in punch needle. It wasn't something where you needed to have a lot of skill, practice, preparation. Just, watched a couple videos, got an idea of, tips and tricks and gave it a go. So I'm going to show you what I made. I'll also show you what I used. So I have the Ultra Punch, and this is how you adjust the depth of your punch. So, you just kind of move it around here to the depth that you need. And a lot of patterns will tell you what depth to use, how many strands of DMC floss to use, or whatever floss you're using. So I just followed her instructions. And for my first project, I used a hoopla hoop because that's what I had on hand. But then, since I decided I really liked punch needle, I decided to invest in a Morgan lap stand because it was hard for me to hold that hoop so tightly to punch and for such a long time. So this is what my combo stand looks like, and then it's got some little pieces so that it can hook together, and then I can just flip it whichever side I want to use it for, depending on the size of my project. The stand works out really well. I don't really want to use it for cross stitch, but I did like it really well for the punch needle. So I had done one of Michelle's designs in the summer, and then I just in the fall did another one. I did this one, which she released in the fall, called Apple a Day. Um, I changed some things. I had seen Michelle has another design that's a wren. I love wrens, and it occurred to me that maybe what I could do is take the wren and put it here. So I bought both this pattern and the wren pattern. It's called Studio Wren. And then I resized the design. I shrunk it on my copier and just kind of superimposed it as I was tracing the pattern and put it on here. I also changed the wording from apple a day to apple season. So I'll show you. I just finished this today, actually. Turned out really, really well. I'm super happy with it. I ended up changing the background color because the wren blended in too much with the background color that was originally part of the pattern. So I just picked a couple of blues. So blue-gray and then a brighter blue. And I mostly just followed then her color instructions. And Punchneedle is really fast. So it's a lot faster than cross stitch. If you need a quick fix, this is one way to get it. And I really love the texture of the punching. So the wren has a little bit of variegated DMC floss in it, and I liked working with that. That was my first time using any variegated DMC. So this didn't take me that long to punch, a few days, maybe a week at most, just because I took breaks. And I really enjoyed it. Her designs are great. I will do more. The stand is from Home Goods, and I put washers on it like Priscilla and Chelsea had been talking about doing. That's way better than the sheet metal. Oh my gosh. I will definitely be doing that in the future. I don't know if you can get this at your local Home Goods. There was just the one at mine, but I have seen this also online, so you might be able to find it online. It doesn't have any real identifying information on the back of it to tell you like what to look for. So sorry, there's no help there. Okay, so I'm really, really pleased I finally finished that since I'd finished it in the fall and then just stopped moving on it. My plan for displaying it is that I have a basket with apples painted on the side, and then I'll put the basket with it, and then I'll either knit some apples or sew some apples. I have patterns for both, or maybe mix both into the basket, but I'd like to do that then for kind of late summer as a display. Okay, what else? Okay, this is what I'm going to call, this segment is going to be called From the Archives, and it'll be something that I did a while ago that I want to share with you. So something that I did a while ago, felt ornaments. I came across Larissa Holland several years ago, either via Flickr or the Feeling Stitchy blog, I don't recall which, but I saw someone had stitched up some of her snowbird pattern, and the birds are so beautiful and brightly colored, and I was like, I have to try that. So I did. And I think I stitched this like 3 or 4 years ago. So this is designed by Larissa Holland. Again, the pattern is called Snowbirds. I made like 13 or 14 of these. They're somewhat time intensive, but they were totally worth it. And I like detailed work, so I don't mind spending the time. This is the back. There's nothing really fancy on the back. So I made them in all different colors. Red birds, orange birds, just depending on what the person I thought might like color-wise. And, I think one of my favorite parts is the sequins and the beads. The bling really does it for me. So, this is really well designed. The instructions are very clear. I changed some of my construction of the bird around, just like the order that I did things in that worked better for me. But it's a great pattern. So I'd really encourage you to check out Larissa's designs. So first I stitched this, and then the following year she came out with her 12 days of Christmas ornaments, and she's been working on that since then, and she just released the 12th one recently, like within the last week or so. I had it in my mind that I would make one for like everyone I knew that I was, close to for 12 years, and then I was realizing that that's just insane. So lowering my expectations, and I'd like to have it sooner than 12 years from now, or 10 at this point. but I'll show you what I'm making. And I would like to, if possible, finish these up this year or next year, if not this year. So the first one is the partridge. And then the partridge has, of course, the number 1 for the first day of Christmas on the back. And then the partridge gets, of course, a pear. So these are really, very basic embroidery, just back stitching, some running stitch, French knots. So you could totally do this. And when she designed the 12 days ornaments, she used Sulky. There's a printable adhesive, and so you just print the pattern out on your printer when you buy the PDF, and then you adhere it to your felt. You use it to cut it out and stitch your embroidery, and then you wash it off. It's great. So I really recommend her patterns, and they're just really well explained, and they're beautifully designed. She's a genius. I love Larissa. So that was the partridge and pear, and then the second year, or well, for me, the second year. Okay, this is the turtle dove, and it's supposed to get a bead down here for its feet, and I never did add that, but I do have it. I may go back and add it. And then, of course, it has the number 2. That's included in the pattern. So these are just so fun to stitch, and I really enjoyed choosing the beads, the floss colors, everything. Sometimes I follow what she did, sometimes I went on my own, and it was just kind of fun to pick out, just like quilting fabric or floss or whatever is fun to pick out. Like, I enjoy picking colors, so that's part of the fun process for me. The only thing that I was thinking about recently, if these were hanging together this year at Christmas, the bling, you really notice it. And the bird I did add some beads, but I think it needs more bling. So I think that, I don't know if I'm going to restitch 1 and 2 or not, but I'm going to start adding more sequins and beads to the rest of the series when I stitch them, because it just, the way it catches the light, man, it's awesome. I like bling. Okay, so those were designed by Larissa, Holland. She's Crafts. You can find her on Instagram, but her shop is on Etsy. She has a blog. She designs other things too with felt, and it's just, she does a great job. I also, instead of stitching one of Larissa's ornaments this year, 2017, at Christmas, I got distracted. I've been following Nuvolinahandmade on Etsy, and she has, and she's also on Instagram, so she has some beautiful felt designs, and I decided I wanted to try something of hers, especially when she released a bunch of new designs just like around Thanksgiving. She released a gingerbread cat, and I just about died. I mean, seriously. It's so blinding. I don't know if you can see the beads there on top of the kitty's head. Yeah, the blinding white light here. It's the problem with filming on a snow day, I guess. So here's the back of the kitty. Oops. Little tail. I added a jump ring. I sewed a jump ring on up here so that I could add the hanger. So the eyes are brads. They're like mini brads. And then there's some satin stitching in the cheeks, which I'm not really that great at, but it turned out fine. Lace, ribbon, the whiskers are just DMC. And then, of course, there's the beads on the frosting. This is so cute. And this is about as time consuming to do. You know, it takes me a few days to make like one as the other ones. You know, it just takes a while to stitch and to be careful with it, to cut it out. One thing I found with this is that because of all the curves, like between the legs, the arms, around the neck here, that I had to really stitch close together in those areas. Otherwise, I had stuffing trying to come out through holes. So that would be one thing that if you do this design, you should be aware of. Also, the pattern doesn't have as much guidance as Larissa's. It's very, I mean, her designs are beautiful, and I mean, no offense at all to her. There's not as much guidance. The placement of the eyes and cheeks was not included in the pattern, so I had to draw that myself, which I was able to do. I would prefer not to have to, though. hopefully maybe at some point she'll kind of include that in her patterns. But you can check her out. I'll put a link in the notes about Michelle, Larissa, and then the Nuvolinahandmade designs so that you can take a look at them. I really, really enjoy working with felt, and it's a lot of fun. I buy my felt. It's a wool blend felt, and I get it from Benzie Design. She has an Etsy shop, and now she has her own website. Because I've been doing this for so long now, like 3 or 4 years, I decided to finally invest in the color cards, the sample cards, so that I could see the felt, like all of it in person. That way I could decide like what I wanted to combine, if I wanted to buy something, if I wanted to reorder something and I wasn't sure what color it was exactly. So I ordered these felt color cards from Benzie. The felt's really nice to work with. So these are, I'm really excited to have these. I think this is going to be a lot of fun and really helpful. And so you can get these on her website or her Etsy site. Okay. So that was my From the Archives segment. I have a lot of stuff I've made over the years, so I'll kind of introduce it as I can. But yeah, the 12 Days of Christmas, it would be nice if I would finish that this year. Definitely next year at the latest. I'll do a little whip update, and that is my Cricut collection piece, which I showed in my last video as a new start. So again, here's the leaflet. I'm on the P. I'm not sure if you can tell from the lighting, the polka dots in the yellow P are a little bit orange. I feel like on the pattern they look a little bit bluer, and I like that look better. So I decided to not add any more of the polka dots. I'm going to stitch the S, and then I'll reassess whether I want to change colors for the little dots or not. But it's coming along. I can feel the siren song of other projects I'd like to start. I don't know if I'm getting a little bored with it or what. I'm not really sure why, but I keep thinking how I'd like to stitch like a Christmas ornament. Good, I guess maybe because it's still snowing out. Hey, we're having a snow day, right? So I don't know, but I definitely feel like I'd like to start about 10 projects right now, and I'm just trying to fight the urge as best I can. Yeah. I might cave though. I mean, yeah. Okay. So it's coming along. My plans. I meant to talk about my stitching plans and my other plans for February in my last video, and then I just completely forgot. So my plans are, I should be getting a quilt back, 2 quilts back from the long arm quilter pretty soon. I've got a Halloween quilt that I'll probably bind first just because it's smaller, so it should be faster. Oddly enough, both quilts are orange and purple. You might think that I'm like obsessed with purple, and I do like purple, but I'm not like obsessed with it. But I took 2 quilts that are orange and purple to the quilter. So anyway, once I get that back, I will bind the Halloween quilt in February. I have a cross-stitched kitty from Margaret Sherry that I stitched years ago that needs to become an FFO, a fully finished object. I don't know quite how I want to finish it, and that's part of why it hasn't been finished. Nothing quite seems right to me. So I don't know, maybe it won't happen in February, but I would like it to happen. I'm hoping that if I give myself a deadline, that'll push me to kind of figure something out. I'm going to knit another tiny sweater this month. I'll do a red one, the ski sweater that I showed in my last video. I'll do the red version of that. I'm going to do that this weekend. I'll start that. I'm going to finish my towels. I just finished the red one today. So I'm going to start weaving either a green or blue one next. And I'm going to insert a little video of me weaving. It's not a great video. I can't show you kind of an overhead, which I think would be the more interesting angle. I just don't have a way to do that at the moment, but you can get a side view to give you an idea at least of what it looks like. And then I'll, at some point be able to get something better than that. But for now, at least it gives you a sense for a little bit more of the weaving process, what it looks like. And I would like to stitch another of the 12 Days Cricket Collection ornaments. I'm on number 5 would be the next one I start. I went out of order originally, so I have more than 5 or more than 4 done. I don't even know how many I've done, but I'm going to do number 5, which is the moon. So those are my February plans, and I think it will be a bit of a challenge for me to accomplish even that short list, just because I keep wanting to start stuff. It's a real problem, but I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to get as much done as I can. So let me add in my weaving video here. So I'm going to advance the work because it's getting pretty far up the loom now. And now I need to stop and check because I'm only weaving 1.5 inches of white between each red stripe. And it's time to stop. Weaving the red stripes is slow for me, and so I won't torture you with that, but that just gives you a little glimpse into the weaving process, the very basic part of the weaving process. Okay, so hope you enjoyed my little weaving demo. Hope you have a great day wherever you are, and I'll see you in about a week and a half. Thanks for watching.